I would say set a 1-year goal. If this is the first time you're doing this, if this is new to you, try envisioning without trying to figure out how, just figure out the what. What do I want my life to look like a year from today? Welcome back to the Struggle and Strive podcast. I am your host, Estel Wallace. Today, we are starting a brand new series. This series is going to be on goal setting and priorities. So as we get into this, I want to start with a little bit of a definition. There are two types of people, not only two types, there are many types, but out of these two types, we've got visionaries and we've got integrators. So in my business, for example, in one of my main business, I'm the visionary, and my dear friend and COO is Marcus Clark. He's the integrator. So let me give some definition here. The visionary is big picture thinkers who focus on ideas, strategy, and innovation. They're typically founders, CEOs, or leaders that dream big and thrive in ambiguity. That's me. Then we have integrators who are detail-oriented. They're executors who focus on processes, structure, and day-to-day operations. They are often COOs or similar roles. They ensure that the visionary's ideas are turned into reality. So I give you that definition so that you sort of get a feel for where I am. Because I'm a visionary, I am not detail-oriented. I'm very much a big picture person. I paint in broad strokes. It's not that I don't care about details. It's just not my natural space. So I want to give you that. So as we talk through this, I want you to know that a lot of this I've had to force feed myself, and it's been really healthy for me. This idea of setting goals and putting together plans on how to achieve those goals, I want to use it across a number of different dimensions. So we can talk about it in terms of business. You can also talk about it in terms of your personal life, in terms of your fitness goals, your family life, anything you want, really. So the first thing we're going to talk about within this is called future authoring. Future authoring is a term coined by Jordan Peterson, I'm pretty sure, and he teaches a course on it. I have thumbed through that course. It's not where I got the idea, but I like his name for it. I didn't have a name for it before. I got the idea when I was a couple of years into recovery. I spent the first 2 years of, early sobriety just kind of getting on my feet, to be honest, working a lot, doing a lot of 12-step stuff, trying to, date with intention, try to not repeat some of the unhealthy patterns from the past, trying to fix my, just try to fix some of the stuff that was, sorely broken in my life. And around 2 years of sobriety, I sort of hit this new bottom where I realized I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I was like 28 years old. And I'm like, I don't know what I want to be. I don't know what I want to do, or, I didn't have any intention in my life. And I became cognizant of that. I became aware of that. So I started down this journey of figuring out, what does the future of my life look like, even in a general way for starters. And then I sort of got more specific. So here are some steps for future authoring. Visualize your future. Now, I like to look at, several main dimensions, from family, romance, friendships, career and finance, mental, physical, and spiritual health I put together into one category, and then time outside of work. So I've got 6 sort of main dimensions of life that I look at when I do this. So I imagine, where do I see myself in a year? This is like a starter. This is like the starter kit. You can do this for 5 years. You can do it for 10 years. Obviously, when you start setting 10-year goals, this is very long range, and you're going to be much more subject to pivoting, which is healthy, which is what you probably ought to do as you grow and mature. If I've got a 10-year plan, whether it's as a business or in my fitness or my marriage, chances are 3 years in, I'm going to have some slight variation to what I originally envisioned, because I will be evolving. All right, so now that I've kind of given you that, I like to start with 1 year, and then I'll paint a picture with words for each of those 6 areas. What do I see my family life, my home life like in a year from today? What kind of time with my children? I have several children, so like how much time with each individual child? What sort of things will we be working on? What sort of adventures will we go on together? I look at romance. What does my relationship with my wife look like a year from today? My friendships, who's in my inner circle? I'm an avid networker and I'm acquainted with a lot of people. I like a lot of people. I'm a bit of a people person. Most people like me, not everybody. I'm not everybody's flavor of human, but I do seem to get along well with a lot of people. But I wouldn't necessarily say that my circle's like this. My network is like this, but my real true friends that I feel safe around and are welcome in my home anytime, et cetera. That's like most people, that's a very small circle. But I wanna look at it with some intention. The same thing with career and finance. Now, we've already done a whole series on career and finance, but this is an opportunity to set some goals within that dimension. Mental, physical, and spiritual health. I choose to put these three together into one category. I'm looking at, my prayer life, my meditation, time I spend in my church family, time I spend in 12-step fellowship, time I spend in the gym, time I spend seeing a coach. These are all things that I'm doing for self-care, for deepening my spiritual experience, for deepening my experience as a human, just being me, being the best version of me. So I put them together. And then we've got this other dimension, time outside of work. That one is probably the trickiest for me. So it's good. It's a good practice. It's a healthy practice for me to put some goals to what I'm going to be doing in my time outside of work. I shouldn't spend all of my time at work or with my family. So I do come up with measurable goals and intention on what I'm going to be doing when I'm not doing this other stuff. And I got to tell you, you put those 6 dimensions of life together, it's very full, it's very busy, and yet most of the time it's not overwhelming. And before we move on, I will say one piece on overwhelm. It must have been about 6 or 7 years ago. I was running a startup. We just had our second baby was in the house, and so we're not sleeping a lot. I'm working like crazy. I'm trying to make it to the gym every day, and and I'm keeping up with all my other responsibilities. And my life just felt a little bit out of control. And I must have answered when somebody said, "How you doing?" I must have answered, "Oh, busy, overwhelmed, whatever," for like a week straight before I stopped and was like, I'm making that sound like a complaint, like that I'm so busy, like loving my wife and raising my kids and running my company that I love so passionately and exercising and spending time, in prayer and helping guys find sobriety. Like, what am I complaining about? This is an awesome life. It's a life that I chose. It's a life that with God's blessing, I've had the opportunity and the honor to architect. And it really reframed my mindset around overwhelm. So it's not that I can't still be, fall victim to the feelings of overwhelm from time to time, but I really try to reframe my mindset around overwhelm and how am I it's up to me how I spend my time. So how am I spending my time? And if I'm intentional about the places I'm spending my time, I don't need to rush from one moment to the next. I can choose how to spend my day. And that, in an essence, is what we're going to kind of distill all this down to when we get to the bottom of this series. Okay, so if you're going to try this, first of all, you can get the downloadable study guide over at struggleandstrive.co. It's free. It's nothing for you to buy. This is the place in the future authoring exercise where I would suggest take 10 or 20 minutes, even an hour, and get yourself into a quiet place, pen and paper or on a computer if that's the best way you write, and jot down these 6 categories and envision how you could improve in these 6 dimensions of life, in your family, in your romance, in your friendships, your career and finances, your health, being mental, physical, spiritual, and your time outside of work. Really, I would say set a 1-year goal. If this is the first time you're doing this, if this is new to you, try envisioning without trying to figure out how, just figure out the what. What do I want my life to look like a year from today? Now, barring something, wild happening and you're making steady progress, which we intend to do with the rest of this series, is give you some tools to make steady progress. What ought my life look like a year from today? How does my relationship look? How does my relationship with my children look? How does my business look? How does my career look? How do my investments look? How does my fitness look? How do I feel? Do I need to lose 20 pounds this year? Do I need to get in the gym more and put on a little of the muscle I lost over the last year? These are all self-imposed, by the way. I don't want to convey some concept that you need to meet anybody else's standards. You certainly don't need to meet mine. This is for self-improvement. Self-improvement is something I've pursued for a long time as, more than a hobby. I read about everything I can find on self-improvement. I have for many years. And it's just something that's been a pastime of mine. I really enjoy the evolution of my human experience, not just what I get from the human experience, honestly, but what I can bring to the human experience. So I would encourage you to take a little quiet time, jot some stuff down. What do I want my life to look like a year from today? And in the rest of the series, I'm going to show you some very specific tools that you can use to start working towards those goals so that we can have real measurable progress.